Hello, Haunted Family. Welcome back. Story 1. Strange House. The house I grew up in was very strange. My friends didn't like to spend the night. They said they always had weird dreams there. At night, it often sounded like someone was moving furniture around in our living room. My mom and I would randomly smell cigar smoke. No one in my house smoked. We would catch movement out of the corner of our eyes, and there would be nothing there. Our dogs would suddenly leap up and follow something with their eyes, or start wagging their tails, like they were happy to see someone, when no one was there. I once had a dream about a man wearing a red plaid shirt with black hair and a mustache, leaning on the fence in the backyard. It was so striking that it just stuck with me for about a week before I mentioned it to my mom. Funny enough, she had experienced a dream about a man in the past that looked very similar to my man. We think that gentleman from our dreams might be the cause of our cigar smell. I was once home by myself, washing dishes, when I heard the floor creaking behind me, like someone was walking up on me. I spun around, and there was no one there, so I went back to doing dishes. There were a few creaks closer to me. I turned around and asked whatever it was to stop. Thankfully it did. The most unexplainable thing happened one night when I woke up to a scratching and rustling sound in my room. I thought that someone had broken into the house and was in my room, so I laid still for about 10 minutes. Then the music box started playing by itself. I flipped over in bed. There was no one in my room. My bedroom door was closed tightly. My dog was standing at the other side of the room, staring at my bookcase, where my music box was playing. I got out of bed. I saw that there was a drawer on my dresser that had been pulled out. I guess that was the slow scraping sound. And it had finally been pulled out enough to jar the music box into playing. My mom said that the people she bought the house from had been a widowed father and his young daughter. His wife had died from cancer in the home under hospice care. She said that when I was a baby, she could hear me laughing and babbling when I was all alone in my crib. When she would look in my nursery, I'd be looking up at something or someone. For some reason, she felt like it was connected to that woman. And maybe it was. Story 2. Haunted. Firstly, let's keep in mind that I firmly believe in ghosts. And I have a handful of pretty solid experiences from when I was younger. And several of them happened in my parents' current house. It's fairly old and rickety, in an area that's mostly countryside, but only really just borders the town. It's also really good to keep in mind that we've had people steal things from our cars overnight, break into our shops and barns while we sleep. I came home from college for the weekend. It was Friday night. My parents took off to have dinner and drinks with some friends. My younger sister left for the night. None of them returned until much later. I have checked. It didn't take me long to feel like something was up. The house is very open, with entrances on either end, both floors, and no doors to separate any of the major rooms or stairs. I'm used to feeling paranoid when I'm home alone, so I tend to ignore it. Turn on the TV, music, or whatever. I'm used to the way this house creaks. I've lived here for 10 years. I know its sounds. So when I tell you that I distinctly heard someone walking up the stairs. Toward where I was. I mean it. It was heavy footsteps at a fairly fast pace, like my dad was coming home and moving up the stairs. I was sitting upstairs in the dining room, and my blood instantly ran cold. I promise you, my only line of thinking was not sure if I would rather have this be a ghost or a real live person. After that sound, nothing happened. And that probably made the fear worse. I was nearly hyperventilated. I definitely grabbed the most massive kitchen knife we owned, while simultaneously texting my ex to come get me. This was not the first or the last incident that happened in this house. When my ex got there, he checked every room, and there was no one there, no murderer lurking behind the shower curtain. I still have no explanation for this. Story 3. Creepy. I was 10 years old. I lived in a house that would give you the creeps, even during the day. I will never get over some of the things I saw or heard there. It was October, and the day had been calm and uneventful. I had just fallen asleep, and all the lights in the house were out. I remember being violently shaken from my sleep to the sight of a shadowy figure hanging out on the stairs. Only half of its body was visible. It quickly ducked down, and I heard whispers. "He's still awake. We've got to wait." These entities, spirits, demons, whatever you want to call them, were planning on getting me that night. I quickly started screaming for my mother, who didn't believe me when she came running into my room to comfort me. So there I was, all alone, in my dark room, with entities trying to get me. I tried to go back to sleep, but again I was quickly shaken by my feet. I saw the two figures in the stairwell. I flipped over and I covered myself in blankets. But I felt something breathing on me. The sound of the heavy breath shook me to my core. I cried for my mother again, and she came this time, and only told me to not think about it, and they would go away. But they never went away. The voices I heard talking to each other about how they were coming to get me, and how they were going to wait until I fell asleep. This is when the music started playing. It sounded like an ice cream truck, or maybe circus music. But who drives an ice cream truck around and sits in someone's driveway at 4 a.m? I'll never forget that. Being woke up every time I got close to drifting off to sleep. The music, being paralyzed by fear of getting out of my bed, about what might be waiting for me. I later came to know these figures as the man with the hat and the tall, dark figure. There was a third entity, and it stayed in the basement of the house, that my brothers and I all saw at one time or another, crawling up the stairs to the kitchen, slowly. Part of me wants to go back and face my fears in that house. But in reality, even retelling the story brings me down to my knees in fear and uncertainty. Story 4. Haunted Basement. Currently I work with a woman who as a child lived in a haunted house, and I find that fascinating. The house in question once had a ceramic business in the basement, owned and operated by a married couple, one being Arthur. Arthur was also a long-distance trucker. One night he was killed in a car-truck accident. His wife was grief-stricken, understandably so. After the accident, she felt his presence standing behind her, breathing, whenever she went into the basement ceramic shop. odd things would happen in the basement. There was a cold spot. The cupboard doors would open all by themselves. My friend, as a child, shared a bedroom with her sister. In the bedroom, there was an overhead attic pull-down stairs. Several times during childhood, she and her sister would be awakened by loud thumping and vibration sounds coming from the door. When a parent would pull down the stairs to check it out, there was nothing in the attic. Her family had a dog which refused to enter the basement. She stated that she felt like someone was behind her, breathing down her neck anytime she was in the basement herself. So of course the dog wouldn't want to go down there. She said that after growing up in this home, she truly believes in ghosts and haunted places, having first-hand experience with the supernatural. According to her, the house is still haunted. She occasionally talks to the current owners. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the stories. If you did, hit the like button, comment if you want to, subscribe. Either way, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening. Music by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio.